Hi, today we're going to show you how to set up your Azure tenant to collect the security events generated by secRMM on your endpoints. And secRMM generates security events for all removable media actions on the endpoint devices. So to start, we're going to show you on the resource groups of this tenant so you can see how it works. There's no resource groups in this tenant, and this is the tenant we're going to work on. And we're going to use PowerShell, and both of the PowerShell scripts that we run require the Azure CLI on Windows to be installed. Okay, and to get the two PowerShell scripts, we're going to come to the squadratechnologies.com. We're going to click on Microsoft Azure, and then down here, we're going to select Azure Monitor, and there's two zip files. Okay, and we'll download these two zip files. This is the first one, which will set up the Azure Log Analytics or database table for the security events. And this is the next one that will read the events, and you can go into Azure Monitor and run workbooks to be able to view the data. So now that we've got them downloaded, we'll come over here to downloads. And we'll extract them both. And then we'll start working on this one first. So we're going to go into PowerShell. And run as administrator. And we'll go into the first one. So we're going to run this unblock. So we unblock the files. Okay, and so now we're going to set up the log analytics table. Okay, and here the PowerShell script pops up these little GUI windows, and you just have to keep an eye on them because I noticed that sometimes they pop up, but they don't go into the foreground. So you can just hover over the PowerShell. And now it's asking us to create a resource group. So again, here's what I'm telling you. You see, you have to go select the pop-up window. It's kind of easy to keep track of, but you just have to remember to do it. And we'll create everything and try and name everything secRMM so that, okay, and now it wants to know what region you want to put the resource group. So you notice I just hover the icon over the mouse over the PowerShell icon, and in case it doesn't pop up to focus. But the PowerShell script is running now, and now it wants to create a log analytics workspace. And again, we'll just call it secRMM so it stands out to the administrators in your environment. And and it wants to put the workspace, and we'll just put it in the same resource group. Okay, and now it's going to create an application to be able to access this log analytics table. So of course, since I'm making a video, it seems something is slowing down on the back end, but so now the script is finished, and we're going to go ahead and run the second script. So here you can see all the workbooks, and again, these workbooks will show up in Azure Monitor, and this is how you can view the data in the log analytics. So we'll do the same thing and unblock that, all the files in there, and then we'll run the script. And I may pause the video because the import of the scripts, it's just repetitive going through this list, but sometimes it takes a long time depending on how busy Azure is. So let me see if I can, I'll do a pause and then resume once it's finished bringing in all the workbooks. So now you can see this second script has finished running, and it just depends on how busy Azure is and bandwidth and so on and so forth. But it gets through the list and it imports all of these. So in this single PowerShell session, we went ahead and we ran these two scripts. And now if we look in the portal, resource groups, we'll just refresh it. And you can see here's the resource group that we used. And if I come into log analytics, there's a secRMM log analytics. And if I come over here to monitor and come down to workbooks, okay. Oops. Helps if you're on the right subscription. So unselect that one. Okay, so now you can see here's the workbooks that we just imported, and you can look at them more in a list view down here, but then you have an inner scroll bar. But let me pull this out a little bit. These map to how the secRMM works on-prem when you're using a SQL database, and you can use SQL reporting services, so it's the same list of reports. So if you're migrating from on-prem to Azure, you still have the same view. So the next thing we need to do is when you have secRMM installed on your endpoint, you can, and if you're an administrator, when you come in here, you can see there's this send to Azure log, and right now it's empty. And Microsoft has two versions of this, and they're moving to V2. So it's getting rougher and rougher to use V1, but that's why this demo was for V2. So what this looks like and what our documentation says is open up Notepad and come here and copy these values, Control C, Control V, and then what you do is you're going to plug these in one by one. So I'm going to pause the video again and do exactly that, just to show you the two different ways that you can populate this. So I'm going to pause the video. So now I've copied these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 values out of here, which were listed when we ran the PowerShell script. So right here into Notepad, and then I pasted them in here. And the next thing we have to do is just tell the endpoint, these are the events that I want you to, the secRMM events, security events that I want to send to Azure. So we'll just take them all for now, but you may want to be selective. So we'll apply that, and then we can run a test connection. And you can see we've got a good connection. So, okay, so that, and then you can see that that value gets persisted, and you can push that out through Intune or Configuration Manager or through a GPO, or even we have a WinRM, just if you have, you want to just have a small collection of computers. But there's another way to do this, which is easier. So if I clear this out, okay, you could see, you remember back in here, you see it successfully updated the variables in this PowerShell script, and because secRMM is scriptable, we'll go back to that, back to this directory where we extracted, and now I can just run this set. So if I come back over in here and I do a refresh, you can see that we can set those through PowerShell. So if I run another test, we can see. And so one thing we can do now, just real quick, is I'll just plug in a thumb drive. Okay, and then just copy some files. Okay, and then let me see, I'll do one more thing here is um, so we'll just do two kinds of one mode you're allowed to copy, and another mode you're not, just so when we look at the reports. Okay, I did a few more USB type activity things just so we could make the demo look a little better. So let me come here. So let's take a look. Okay, so let's look at the write events. So now when I come here, I'll set the and you can see that we get the data. Um, so let's see if I come back up here to workbooks, can go here. So you can see when a user tries to write a file they're not allowed to write the file to a USB drive. You'll get that information, and then just kind of if you want to more look at it in a higher level, um, you can see the various um, reports or charts that are getting listed. So again, these workbooks are the equivalent of what we provide on-prem for SQL reporting services. So I hope this pretty much gave you a quick um, show you how to run the PowerShell scripts. The documentation for what you just saw in this video is in here, and you're going to want to look at um, the log analytics admin guide. Okay. Okay, and then the Azure Monitor admin guide. But pretty much this video is what both of these guides are doing. Thank you very much and have a good day.